I was halfway across the festival with a paper tray of shrimp and grits in my hand when I saw Camila Aquino get surrounded. Not approached, not questioned, surrounded. That was the first thing that caught my eye. I had been at the Bywater Food Festival for another client, a hotel group that wanted me nearby in case their pop-up chef said something dumb on camera. Easy job. Stand around, watch the edges, keep people from turning a small mistake into a headline. I used to do field production for local news, so I knew how these things moved. A real crowd moved messy. People talked over each other. Phones came out late. Questions landed from different directions. This was clean. Too clean. Camila was standing under the string lights near the small stage, beside a city banner and two folding tables stacked with little grant packets. She had on a dark green blouse with the sleeves rolled up, hair pulled back, gold hoops catching the light every time she turned her head. She looked tired in the way people look when they have been carrying too much but still refused to put it down. A city staffer was tapping the microphone, waiting to announce new funding for Second Line Kitchen. I knew the name. Everybody around here did. They trained young cooks, packed meals for older folks, helped families stretch a dinner budget without making them feel small about it. Then the first blogger stepped in front of Camila and raised his phone. "Camila, where did the relief food money go?" She blinked once. "Excuse me." Another woman came from the left, already filming herself with Camila behind her shoulder. "We have screenshots showing missing funds and fake invoices." Then a third voice, louder, from behind the gumbo tent. "Did you serve unsafe meals to seniors?" That word hit the air and people turned. I looked past the faces to the phones. Two cameras were already low and tight, angled up at Camila's face. One guy had a small light clipped to his phone, even though the stage lights were enough. Another woman wasn't asking anything. She was waiting for Camila to look upset. That was the shot they wanted. Camila held up one hand. "No, that is not true. If you have questions, you can send them to. Why won't you answer now? Are you denying the invoices? Are you saying the seniors are lying?" Same rhythm, same phrases, same little pause before each person spoke, like they had practiced not stepping on each other's lines. I set my food down on a trash can lid and moved. The city staffer froze near the microphone. The crowd leaned in because people always lean in before they understand what they are seeing. Camila looked from one phone to another, jaw tight, eyes sharp but trapped. I stepped between her and the lowest camera angle. "Back up," I said. The guy with the phone light frowned. "Who are you?" "Someone blocking a bad shot." Camila snapped her eyes to me. "I don't know you." "I know," I said quietly. "But they do not want answers. They want your face while you look cornered." The woman filming herself said, "Are you her handler?" "No," I said. "And you already had that caption ready." Her mouth shut for half a second. That was enough. I turned slightly to Camila. "There's a vendor lane behind the oyster booth. Walk with me now, or stand here while they cut this into 10 seconds. She looked like she wanted to tell me to move. I couldn't blame her. A stranger stepping in during the worst public moment of her life did not look helpful. It looked like one more person trying to take control. Then another phone came over someone's shoulder, almost touching her cheek. Camila said, "Fine." I moved first, not fast enough to look like running, not slow enough to let them rebuild the circle. We cut past the jambalaya stand, through a lane where workers were dragging coolers and wiping sauce from metal trays. Rain had started soft, tapping on blue tent tops. Someone yelled Camila's name behind us. Someone else said, "Why are you hiding?" She spun around. I caught the tent flap and said, "Not there." Her eyes burned. "Do not touch me." "I won't." She ducked into a closed prep tent, and I followed with both hands visible like I was walking into a place where I had no right to be. Inside, it smelled like onions, lemon, hot oil, and wet cardboard. The noise from the festival dropped, but did not disappear. It became a thick buzz outside the canvas. Camila turned on me. "Start talking. My name is Leo Marsh. I used to produce field segments for Channel 6. Now I help people when a public story starts bending before they can speak." "Great. So you're a fixer." I hate that word. I hate men who appear out of nowhere and tell me what to do. That seems fair. She folded her arms. Her phone kept buzzing in her hand. I nodded toward it. "Don't open the apps yet." "Why?" "Because the first wave is already built. You opening it won't change what they posted. It'll just make you react while you're angry." "I am angry because they lied." "I believe you. You don't know me." "No, but I know staging." She stared at me for a few seconds. Outside, someone laughed too loud near the beer tent. The microphone popped from the stage, then went silent. I said, those people were using the same lines. Same order. Missing funds, fake invoices, unsafe meals. They had cropped screenshots ready. They had cameras placed to catch you looking guilty before you understood the claim. Her phone buzzed again. This time she looked at the screen, and I saw the color leave her face. Donors are texting, she said. That's the point. She swallowed hard, then turned away from me like she hated that I had seen it. Second line is 10 minutes from here. Your office? My kitchen. After closing, the building looked nothing like the pretty festival tents. Second line kitchen sat inside an old-school cafeteria with cracked tile floors, long prep tables, dented stockpots, taped-up delivery maps, and volunteer notes stuck to the wall in blue painter's tape. The walk-in cooler had handwritten labels on every shelf. Monday senior meals. Church pantry. Training batch. Do not move. Camila unlocked a metal cabinet and pulled out binders, folders, and a laptop with a chipped corner. You want records? She said. Here. We sat at a prep table under humming lights while the rain tapped the high windows. She showed me delivery sheets, food invoices, cold storage logs, payment records, and reimbursement emails from the city. Her staff had left little notes everywhere. More carrots Tuesday. Mr. Baptiste, no onions. Ms. Loretta likes extra rice. This was not a fake operation. Fake operations did not keep notes like that. I opened the viral screenshots on my phone. Then I compared them to the full records Camila slid across the table. At first, I understood why people believed the posts. The numbers were real. Dates matched. Vendor names matched. Payment totals matched. Then I saw the cut. Here, I said. Camila leaned over my shoulder. She smelled like coffee and fryer oil and rain. I pointed at the screen. They used this reimbursement total, but removed the later entry. That was a credit reversal, she said quickly. The supplier overbilled us, then corrected it. I know. It's right here in your full sheet. She went still. I pulled up another screenshot. Same thing here. They show the outgoing food order, but not the delayed city reimbursement that arrived 8 days later. Camila gripped the edge of the table. So they didn't invent the numbers, she said. No. They cut them. Yes. Her face changed then. Not softer. Worse. Like the room had gotten colder around her. That makes it harder, she said. I nodded, because lying with fake numbers was easy to beat. Lying with real numbers, trimmed at the edges, was how you made truth look guilty. The next morning, Camila beat me to the kitchen. I got there a little after 6, and the lights were already on behind the frosted cafeteria windows. Rainwater sat in the cracks of the sidewalk. A delivery van was parked crooked by the side door, back doors open, empty trays stacked inside, like somebody had started working before the sun came up and forgot the rest of the city was still asleep. Inside, the kitchen was hot and loud. Not loud from people yelling. Loud from work. A mixer thumped on the back counter. Sheet pans slid into racks. Someone was chopping onions fast enough that the knife sounded like a train on tracks. 2 trainees in black aprons were scooping rice into containers while an older volunteer called out names from a clipboard. Baptiste, low salt. Loretta, extra gravy on the side. Don't mix those up again. Camila stood at the center table with her laptop open, hair tied tighter than the night before, sleeves pushed above her elbows. She had not gone home long enough to rest. I could see it in her eyes, but she was moving too steady for anybody to comment on it. She saw me come in and pointed at a chair without saying hello. I rebuilt the payment timeline, she said. Good morning to you too. Good morning. Sit down. I sat. She turned the laptop toward me. Grant draw request submitted May 3rd. Approved May 10th. City reimbursement posted May 19th. Supplier invoice paid May 6th from our reserve account. Credit reversal posted May 22nd. The screenshot cuts off on May 17th. I looked at the spreadsheet. So it makes the reserve payment look like missing money. It makes me look like I paid a vendor twice and pocketed the reimbursement. You didn't. No, she said. But everyone saw the cut version first. That was the ugly part. First version always stuck. Corrections had to fight uphill. We spent the next hour building the timeline across the prep table with invoices, delivery sheets, and handwritten receiving logs. Camila had a system that looked messy from far away but made sense once you stood inside it. Blue folders for city meals. Yellow folders for pantry support. Green tape for vendor credits. Red tape for anything held back from delivery. She pulled a form from a binder and slid it to me. That's the spoiled batch. The paper had temperature checks, staff initials, disposal time, and a photo printed on the back. Chicken stew? I asked. Turkey and okra. Cooler fan tripped overnight. Morning temp was wrong. We dumped the whole batch before packing. Did any of it leave? No. Who knew? Her hand paused over the binder. Staff on shift. Procurement. Me. The volunteer lead. Procurement is Andre. Yes. Andre Sagard. She said his name without suspicion then, just tired trust. He handles vendor orders, credits, delivery gaps, all the boring stuff that keeps this place alive. Before I could answer, the side door opened, and a woman in a city health department jacket stepped in with a tablet under one arm. The whole kitchen seemed to take one breath. Camila Aquino? The woman asked. Camila straightened. That's me. We received a complaint this morning regarding unsafe holding temperatures and improper disposal records. One of the trainees stopped scooping rice. The volunteer with the clipboard muttered something under her breath. Camila's jaw tightened. Of course you did. I saw her about to move too fast. Not wrong, just too fast for a room that already had fear in it. I kept my voice low. Procedural. She shot me a look. Not quiet, I said. Procedural. Camila turned back to the inspector. You can inspect whatever you need. Walk-in logs are by the cooler. Disposal forms are in the red binder. Delivery records are on that table. Staff can answer process questions. The inspector nodded, professional and unreadable. I'll start with cold storage. For 40 minutes, everybody worked around the inspection like it was a hot pan nobody wanted to touch. The inspector checked cooler temps, freezer seals, sanitizer strips, holding trays, date labels, disposal forms, and delivery pack-out times. Camila answered cleanly. No speeches. No anger. Just dates, initials, logs. When the inspector asked about the spoiled batch, Camila showed the form, the photo, and the disposal entry. This never left the building? The inspector asked. No, Camila said. We replaced it with red beans and rice from a separate batch and marked the route delay. The inspector checked the delivery sheet. I see that. Across the room, a young guy with a hairnet let out a breath like he had been holding it since she walked in. The kitchen passed. That should have felt like relief, but the damage was already moving. Camila's phone kept lighting up. Donor. Donor. Board volunteer. Church pantry. Unknown number. Unknown number. She ignored most of them until one text made her stop. What? I asked. Our main supplier froze our credit. Today. She turned the phone so I could see. Pending account review. 10 minutes later, we were in her old white van headed toward a supplier dock near the river, with empty crates rattling in the back and the smell of onions still stuck to both of us. Camila drove like the streets had personally offended her. Puddles jumped under the tires. The sky hung low and gray over the warehouses. At the dock, men in rubber boots were moving boxes of greens, sacks of rice, and cases of poultry under a metal awning. Camila walked straight to the office window. Martin, she called. A heavy-set man in a Saints cap looked up and immediately looked uncomfortable. That's not promising, I said. Camila ignored me. Why is my credit frozen? Martin came out wiping his hands on a towel. Camila, I'm not trying to make your morning worse. You already did. We got told there may be a fraud review. I can't keep extending product if invoices get caught up. Who told you that? He glanced at me, then back at her. Someone from Flowers Hospitality called yesterday. Said they were trying to protect local vendors from exposure. Camila went very still. Julian Flowers? That's the name. I watched her face. She knew the name, and not in the celebrity chef way. On the drive back, she was quiet for 3 blocks. Then she said, he wants the building. I waited. The old school. This cafeteria. The classrooms behind us. There's community use language in our lease. As long as we're operating, they can't just turn it into some polished food hall. Julian wants it. Julian wants everything if there's a camera and a ribbon cutting. She gripped the wheel harder. Branded chef stalls. Private events. Tasting counters. A place where people can spend $30 to feel close to a neighborhood they don't actually know. That afternoon, I rode along for deliveries because I needed to see what the attack was really trying to break. We stopped at a shotgun house where Mr. Baptiste waited on the porch in a pressed shirt, even though he was only taking a meal tray from Camila. We dropped containers at a church basement where folding tables were already set up for families later that evening. We brought soup to a woman named Ms. Loretta, who told Camila she looked too skinny and told me to carry the heavier bags if I was going to stand around looking useful. At each stop, people knew her, not as a public face, as the person who remembered no onions, extra rice, low salt, Tuesday dialysis, Thursday pantry pickup. Back at the church, an elder named Miss Elaine pulled me aside while Camila checked a delivery list with the pantry lead. "You're the man helping her?" she asked. "I'm trying." "Then look at the building fight. That's where this mess started." "You're sure?" She gave me a look that made me feel 12. "Baby, developers don't whisper for months unless they already picked the curtains." By evening, I had enough to see the shape. The food claims were the front porch. The building was the house. Camila and I returned to second line as the last trainees were cleaning down counters. Andre Sagard was there, neat shirt, careful smile, carrying a clipboard like it belonged in his hand. He was younger than Camila, maybe late 20s, with the polished energy of someone who wanted people to know he was going somewhere. Camila asked him, "Did anyone request cold storage logs this week?" Andre barely paused. "Barely. No," he said. "Just regular internal review." I looked at the sign-out sheet beside the office printer. His initials sat next to 2 exports from Tuesday night. Cold chain summary. Delivery schedule. Camila followed my eyes. "Andre," she said slowly, "why did you pull those logs?" His smile faded, but only a little. "I was checking vendor timing," he said. Camila did not move. "You just said no one requested them." Andre looked from her to me, and for the first time all day, the kitchen got completely quiet. That quiet told me more than his answer. Andre stood there with the clipboard tucked against his chest like it could protect him. Nobody spoke for a few seconds. The trainees by the sink pretended to keep rinsing containers, but the water was the only thing moving. Camila had one hand on the printer table and the other flat against the sign-out sheet. "Andre," she said again, calmer this time, which somehow sounded worse. "Why did you pull the cold chain summary and the delivery schedule Tuesday night?" He gave a small laugh that did not reach his face. "Because that's my job. Your job is ordering food and managing vendor credits. And delivery timing, not exports after hours." He looked at me then. "Is this your thing? You come in here, point at a sheet, and now I'm supposed to be the problem?" I didn't answer right away. I had learned a long time ago that guilty people often tried to make the room choose sides before the facts arrived. But Andre didn't look like a cartoon villain. He looked offended, cornered, maybe even convinced he was the reasonable one. Camila stepped closer. "Answer me." Andre's jaw moved. Julian's people asked for background. The kitchen seemed to shrink. Camila stared at him. "Background. They said they were looking at a partnership model," he said quickly. "Shared prep stations, paid chef residencies, better equipment. They wanted to understand the flow." "You gave them our delivery schedules?" "I gave them operational summaries." "You gave them the spoiled batch log?" His eyes flicked down. That was it. Camila's face changed in a way I wished I had not seen. Not loud pain. Not dramatic. Just a small break around the eyes, like something inside her had stepped back. "You knew that batch never left," she said. Andre swallowed. "I didn't know they would post it like that. But you knew they had it. I thought they were going to show the city how messy things were." "Messy," Camila said, voice low. "You watched Ms. Loretta wait at her door for soup last week because her legs were swollen. You watched Jalen learn prep here because nobody else would hire him after he dropped out. You watched Miss Elaine count pantry trays with her church ladies every Thursday. That's messy to you?" Andre's face tightened. "No, Camila. What's messy is pretending this place can survive on late reimbursements, begging donors, and busted freezers. You work everybody to the bone and call it mission." A trainee near the stove looked away. Camila took that hit without flinching, but I saw her hand close around the edge of the table. Andre kept going because now that he had started, he needed to believe himself. Julian can bring money. Real money. Careers. Press. A food hall gets people in here. It turns this building into something bigger. "For who?" Camila asked. "For all of us, maybe. For you." He didn't deny it fast enough. I pulled the laptop closer and opened the access log Camila's admin system kept in the background. It wasn't fancy, but it was enough. User, time, export name, file size, destination email. Andre Sagard. Tuesday, 8:43 p.m. Cold chain summary. Tuesday, 8:51 p.m. Delivery schedule. Wednesday, 7:12 a.m. Vendor credit report. The destination wasn't Julian Flowers directly. It went to a public relations account connected to Flowers Hospitality. Andre saw it on the screen and went quiet. Camila looked at the records, then at him. You sent them everything they needed to make us look dirty. I didn't write the posts. No, I said. You handed them the scissors. Andre's eyes flashed. You don't know this place. I know what edited evidence looks like. He laughed once, sharp. And what are you exactly? Some guy she picked up at a festival? Camila turned on him. Don't. But by the next morning, that was already the new rumor. It showed up in 3 posts before breakfast. Same soft little wording. Questions are being raised about why Camila Aquino brought in former news producer Leo Marsh after public concerns. One account called me her personal fixer. Another said I had been seen leaving with her after hours, like we had not gone to a community kitchen full of binders and old coffee. By 9, a donor called Camila and asked whether our relationship created a conflict. I was standing beside the walk-in cooler when she took the call. Her face stayed still, but her eyes found mine across the kitchen. No, she said into the phone. He is helping us respond to false claims. That is all. A pause. Then her shoulders stiffened. My personal life is not your grant condition, she said, and hung up. I knew what I had to say. I hated it before I said it. We may need to create distance publicly. Camila turned slowly. What? Not because they're right. Because the accusation is designed to make every fact we show look personal. If I step back where cameras can see. No. Camila. No. She walked past me to the prep table and started stacking delivery labels too hard. That is exactly how this works. They push shame into the room, and then honest people start rearranging themselves around the lie. I'm talking strategy. You're talking fear. I'm talking about keeping the focus on the records. She slapped the label down. You think I don't know records? You think I need you to tell me what matters in my own kitchen? That is not what I said. But it's what you do. Her voice shook once, then steadied. You came in and saw the angles. Fine. You were right. But now you want to package me into the cleanest version. Calm Camila. Procedural Camila. No anger. No closeness. No confusion. No human mess. The words landed harder than I expected because she wasn't wrong. I had spent years taking other people's worst days and cutting them into something survivable. A mother crying beside a flooded street. A chef closing his restaurant. A nonprofit leader caught in a bad headline. Find the line. Pick the shot. Remove anything that could be used against them. Sometimes that saved people. Sometimes it made them disappear inside their own story. I looked at the walk-in door, at the handwritten labels, at the taped delivery map curling at one corner. You're right, I said. Camila looked surprised, but not softened. I kept going. I know how to make a public mess look smaller. I know how to get people through a bad news cycle. But this isn't just a bad news cycle. They're trying to replace the truth with a cleaner lie. And you don't need to be polished. You need to be seen. For the first time that morning, she stopped moving. Outside the kitchen windows, a truck backed into the alley with a long beep. Somebody in the next room laughed at something small. The normal sounds of the place kept going around us. Camila rubbed both hands over her face, then dropped them. Then we show everything. How? She looked around the kitchen like she was seeing not the damage, but the answer. Community supper. Here. Public. I almost smiled. That's not small. I'm done being small. She pointed toward the dining hall beyond the double doors. Donors, residents, trainees, local press, neighborhood elders, an independent food safety observer. We cook. We open the walk-in. We show the logs. We show the disposal form. We show the payment timeline. People who get meals can speak if they want. That is risky. So is hiding. She was right. A statement could be cropped. A spreadsheet could be made boring. But a full room, a working kitchen, a line of older residents and church volunteers and trainees telling the same simple truth from different places, that was harder to edit without looking cruel. We spent the rest of the day building the supper like a route map. Camila called Miss Elaine first, then the church pantry, then 2 donors who had not stopped taking her calls. I called an independent food safety consultant I trusted from my news days, a woman named Anika, who had once corrected a mayor on live television without raising her voice. By evening, the dining hall had long tables unfolded and wiped down. Volunteers wrote names on masking tape. The trainees argued over whether to serve red beans or turkey stew like the whole city depended on it. Camila stood beside me near the cooler with 2 paper cups of coffee. She handed me one. "You still think you should step back?" she asked. I looked at her hand around the cup, then at her face. "No." "Good." Her shoulder brushed mine. Neither of us moved away right away. It was nothing. It was also not nothing. Then my phone buzzed. I read the message twice. "What is it?" Camila asked. I turned the screen toward her. A new complaint had been filed with the city, asking them to halt the supper before doors opened. Alleged unsafe storage. Alleged misleading public event. Alleged risk to vulnerable residents. No signature on the public copy, but the language had Julian Flowers written all over it. The night of the supper, nobody in the kitchen said the word complaint out loud. They all knew. You could feel it in the way people moved. Faster than normal, but careful. Like one drop tray might give Julian exactly what he wanted. The trainees washed their hands twice, checked labels 3 times, and kept asking Camila if the prep tables looked right. Volunteers wiped chairs that were already clean. Miss Elaine came in with 6 church ladies and a stack of tablecloths folded over her arm like she was arriving for battle. Camila stood near the center prep table, tying her apron. She looked steady, but I had been around her long enough by then to notice the small things. The way she kept pressing her thumb into the knot of the apron. The way her eyes moved from the walk-in cooler to the dining hall doors to the back exit. I was standing by the office printer with 3 binders, a laptop, 2 backup thumb drives, and every record we could need. Temperature logs, disposal forms, supplier receipts, reimbursement timelines, delivery sheets, vendor credit reversals, Andre's access trail. Camila walked over and looked at the stack. "You brought half the building. I brought the part they keep cutting out." She almost smiled. Almost. Then the side door opened. A city inspector stepped in with a man from the health office and a woman from the building department. Behind them, in a tan jacket too clean for a kitchen, stood Julian Flowers. I had seen him on TV enough times to recognize the look. Warm smile, expensive watch, soft voice, the whole harmless package. He stood back like he had wandered in by concern instead of design. Camila wiped her hands on a towel and walked toward them. "Inspector," she said, "you're welcome to start wherever you need." Julian gave her a sad little smile. "Camila, nobody wants this to be difficult." Miss Elaine, from the dining hall, said loudly, "Then leave." A few people laughed. Julian's smile thinned. The inspector didn't laugh. She was all business. "We received a complaint regarding unsafe storage and possible risk to meal recipients." Camila nodded. "Walk-in is ready. Logs are printed. Anika Nair is here as independent observer." Anika stepped forward from beside the cooler, tablet in hand. "I've been on site since 3. The inspector looked relieved to see another professional instead of a shouting match. That was the first crack in Julian's plan. For the next 30 minutes, the kitchen worked in full view. The inspector checked the cooler. Anika read the temperatures aloud. The trainees stood back, hands clasped, watching like their futures were being measured with a thermometer. Volunteers kept ladling red beans into hotel pans, steam rising in thick clouds. The dining hall filled with older residents, parents with kids, pantry volunteers, 2 local reporters, and a handful of donors who looked like they wanted to trust Camila but needed permission. The inspector checked the disposal record for the spoiled batch. Camila handed it over. That batch was held, documented, and thrown out before pack-out. Replacement meals went out 1 hour later. Anika said, "I reviewed the form and the route sheet. They match." The inspector nodded. "I see no basis to halt service." The room did not cheer. Not yet. But the air changed. Julian heard it too. He stepped closer. "With respect, one clean inspection tonight doesn't answer questions about public funds." Camila turned to face the dining hall. She did not ask me what to do. She did not look at the binders like they were going to speak for her. She walked to the front of the room with a handheld mic one of the trainees had borrowed from the church. "I'm not going to make a big speech," she said. "People came here to eat. So we're going to eat. But first, I want you to see how the lie was built." I connected the laptop to an old projector. The image hit the wall above the folded lunch tables. Nothing fancy, just a timeline. Camila pointed at the first line. "This is the number people saw online. It's real. That is what made it believable." But the post cut off the reimbursement that came 8 days later. I clicked. The missing entry appeared. A low murmur moved through the room. She pointed again. This invoice was also real. But the supplier issued a credit reversal. The post removed that part. Another click. This photo of spoiled food was real too. It came from our own record. That food never left this building. We documented it, disposed of it, and replaced the meals. A man near the front raised his hand. Mr. Baptiste. Pressed shirt, came between his knees. I got that replacement meal, he said. It was late, but Camila called me herself. Ms. Loretta spoke from the next table. And she sent extra rice because she knew I'd complain. People laughed then, real laughter, and Camila's shoulders dropped just a little. The church pantry leader stood next. Our deliveries matched the route sheets. We sign for them every Thursday. Nobody is guessing. Then Jalen, one of the trainees, stepped forward still wearing his apron. He looked terrified. I messed up a lot when I got here, he said. Chef Camila didn't throw me away. She taught me how to show up, clean my station, label food right, and take work serious. This place is not a scam. It's the first place that made me act like I had a future. That did more than any spreadsheet could have. Julian shifted near the wall. He still had his smile, but it looked pasted on now. I brought up the access trail next. I kept my voice plain. These exports were pulled by Andre Sagard after hours and sent to a public relations account connected to Flowers Hospitality. Cold chain logs, delivery timing, vendor credits. Pieces of those records then appeared online without the correcting entries. Andre was not there. Camila had not let him come. That was her one mercy. Julian raised both hands slightly. Operational review is normal when future partnerships are discussed. Miss Elaine stood. No, she said. You wanted this building empty. The room went quiet. She turned to the city people. We've been watching this for months. Food hall drawings. Private event talk. Chef stalls nobody around here can afford. Then suddenly Camila is dirty? Suddenly elders are props? Don't insult us. One of the reporters wrote that down fast. Julian tried to recover. Redevelopment can bring opportunity. Camila looked at him. Opportunity for people already invited. Nobody shouted. Nobody needed to. He had lost the room, and everybody knew it. By the end of the night, plates were full, the inspection was clear, and the city staffer from the festival stood near the coffee urn telling Camila the redevelopment review would be paused. Not canceled. Paused. In city language, that was a door finally refusing to open all the way. The donors who had gone quiet came back one at a time. Awkward, apologetic, holding paper plates like shields. Camila thanked them, but she did not make it easy for them. I liked that about her. Weeks later, Second Line Kitchen was still there. Not just surviving. Changing. Camila turned the whole fight into a new plan. A neighborhood food cooperative. Paid training slots. Senior meal delivery. Shared prep stations for small vendors who could never afford a commercial kitchen alone. The old classrooms became storage, offices, and one room where trainees practiced knife cuts while somebody's auntie corrected them from a folding chair. Andre's name came up less and less. Camila never pretended it had not hurt. She just refused to let his choice become the story's final line. As for me, I stopped taking polished clients who only wanted cleaner headlines. I started helping church pantries, tenant groups, food programs, and small clinics defend themselves when someone tried to edit them into a problem. It paid less. I slept better. The first cooperative supper was on a warm Friday, with the back doors open and music drifting in from the street. No scandal cameras. No stage questions. Just long tables, paper napkins, red beans, roast chicken, kids running between chairs, and elders pretending not to enjoy being fussed over. I stood near the back door out of habit, watching the room. Camila found me there with 2 cups of coffee. You're still standing in the exit, she said. Habit. She handed me 1 cup and leaned beside me, shoulder close enough to touch. For a while, we just watched people eat. Then she said, stay anyway. Write in the comments. Would you stay after a fight like that, knowing Camila's world could pull you into the next battle too? Or would you help her win and then walk away clean?